Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Shadowwraith and today I'm going to be going over the top 3 psychic powers that will help you win your games. These are the psychic powers that I bring to every game if I can. They're a must include in my lists and they're just fantastic. And don't get me wrong, all the psychic powers are useful in some way or another. They're all useful. But this is my list and I get to pick. So, jumping straight in, we've got my number 3 slot, and it might be a bit of a surprise, but it's Asthma of Pestilence, okay? The reason it's so low is because in 9th edition, -1 to hit is quite common if you're using terrain quite well, and it can't go beyond -1. So I can't have -1 because of cover, and then stick this on a unit to get -2 to hit me, but hey-ho. But go over the psychic power. It's a warp charge of 6, which is very doable. You have to pick a friendly Death Guard unit, so anything with the Death Guard keyword, and it's 18-inch range. Until the start of your next psychic phase, your opponent must subtract 1 from all hit rolls that target that unit. So this is also why it's useful, because it's handy in combat as well. Being -1 to hit in combat is pretty fantastic. There's a lot of things that are hitting on 4s out there, 3s, but having Tyranids hit you on, like Geniuses hitting you on 4s or whatever, is much better. Orc boys, if they're hitting you on 3s, they're not hitting you on 4s, and so on and so forth. It just makes it so much better. And when you come across Custodies, they're usually hitting you on 2s all over the place, but being in combat with them especially, and having them hit on 3s, just saves you a little bit more. And being Death Guard, you want to be as resilient as possible, and this is one way you can achieve it. Now, moving on to the number 2 slot, and it is such a good psychic power. I absolutely love it. It is Blades of Putrefaction. Now, the reason this is number 2, not number 1, is because we have got another stratagem that lets us get the add 1 to wound rolls. But, hey ho, you don't get the additional mortal wound output that this psychic power can give you. And like I said, I always bring this if I can. Psychic power, pretty simple. It's a warp charge of 5, which is pretty crazy, really low, really easy to get. If manifested, select a visible, friendly Death Guard unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Again, anyone with a Death Guard keyword. Anything. Until the start of your next psychic phase, add 1 to all wound rolls made by that in the unit in the fight phase. Furthermore, if you roll a 7+ and you're using a plague weapon in melee combat, you inflict a mortal wound on the target in addition to any other damage. Really, really good. Really, really good. Especially with the amount of attack Plague Marines can start churning out, where you're getting like minimum 3 attacks a guy. It's pretty crazy. Not minimum, but like you can easily get 3 attacks per guy. And you're chucking all these out. They've got Plague Knives. You're going to be chucking mortal wounds in. And again, I go back to the Custodies because they're pretty big at the moment. Because they've got tough armor, tough invuns. Guess what? If you throw mortal wounds at them, they go down nice and fast. Absolutely love this psychic power. Do not leave home without it. Stick it on whoever you can. And that leaves us with the number 1 slot. It goes to Putrescent Vitality. Now, if you don't agree with this order, let me know in the comment section. But I love this psychic power. It's absolutely crazy. It goes off on a warp charge value of 6. So, not too bad again. If manifested, select a friendly Death Guard infantry unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, add 1 to the unit's strength and toughness. That is so strong. Because you have got your Plague Marines and they sit at toughness 5 currently. If you make them toughness 6, anything that is strength 3 is now wounding them on 6s instead of 5s. And that is a million las guns or auto guns, things like that. And I've been shot at by a lot of las guns. It's pretty scary, but you can ignore it quite nicely with this. But being strength 5 is also really good, because again, you're now wounding Custodies on 4s rather than 5s. You're now wounding fellow Space Marines, loyalist scum, on 3s. It gets pretty, yeah. And it just stacks well with a lot of other abilities. So like Trench Fighters getting extra attacks in, the Blades of Putrefaction already, I said before, but having a Warlord with Arch Contaminator nearby, so you're re-rolling all failed wounds, because you've got Plague weapons in combat if you're running the Plague Marines. Yeah, there's so many things you can do, and it's actually quite scary. But just having this blob sat on an objective being Toughness 6 is also scary, because heavy bolters go from wounding you on 4s to wounding you on 5s. It's really good, really good stuff. And these are popular weapons. Heavy bolters are really popular with Space Marines with their bolter drills and stuff like that. Custodes, obviously, like I said, a big thing. So anything that can give you advantage on that is a big plus. Especially if you're sat on an objective, they're going to try and shift you. They're going to either try and shift you with their close combat, Corn Berserkers, Strength 5 on the charge. You know, they're now winning you on 5s. It's a no-brainer, really, in my opinion. I think they're absolutely fantastic with this on. Plague Marines especially. And Poxwalkers. I love Poxwalkers. If you're subscribed to my channel or watched any of my other videos, you know I absolutely adore Poxwalkers. They're brilliant. They're absolute chaff that you can turn into monsters. I'm all about that. And you can make them Strength and Toughness 5 with a combination of Typhus and this psychic power. With +1 to wound with either Blades of Putrefaction or Veterans of the Long War. It's pretty crazy. You're wounding, Loyalist scum on, Space Marines on 2s with Poxwalkers. Because you're Strength and Toughness 5, Strength 5, Toughness 4, +1 to wound. Insane. And there's a whole other combination where you can give them Plague weapons, start doing mortal wounds and all sorts of crazy stuff. But, enough of that. I absolutely love my Death Guard. They're my favourite faction lore-wise and in-game. I'm really good with them, in my opinion. Well, I'm much better with them than I am with any other faction. Success rate is much higher. That's one of the main reasons I can talk about them for days. I can chat about Death Guard for hours on end. But, yeah. Let me know in the comment section down below if you think I picked the right 3 and if you would have put them in a different order. Have I missed an obvious choice? And just so you know, I will give a slight honourable mention to Smite, but the only reason it's not in this video is because it's not a Death Guard specific psychic power. But Smite is actually fantastic if you need to shave, 1 wound off someone, or a couple of wounds. And again, it goes really good against Custodes, because mortal wounds are not their friends, but they're our friends, and we have many ways of getting mortal wounds out onto the enemy. But yeah, if you like the video, do consider liking, and if you're feeling especially saintly today, do consider subscribing. But even if you don't do either of those things, I still hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. Hello again. If you're interested in supporting my channel and myself to giving you bigger and better content, such as competitive battle reports in the future, then do consider joining up to my Patreon. The link is down in the description below, and you will be mentioned on my videos at the end, and some of you may get a sexy t-shirt. Thank you ever so much, and goodbye.